Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tuassir wa tammim bil khair. Let's begin lesson number 17. Now, as we can see over here, from bab number 2, we have moved on to bab number 4. And this is because the Sheikh decided to take the lesson from bab number 2 and then from derived form number 4. One of the reasons could be because they are very similar. Most of the characteristics are the same. And the next lesson that we have is also basically based on these two abwab, which is number 2 and number 4. So we will follow the same pattern that we have in the books, but that doesn't mean that this pattern will change. This pattern will remain the same. However, the Sheikh has decided, the author of these books, to start with bab number 2, which is taf'il, and then after that we skip for the time being number 3, and now we move on to number 4, which is af'ala. We discussed in detail in the previous lesson that these numbers are given to these abwab, and these are the derived forms of the verb, and they have some special meanings and some special characteristics. So number 4 is af'ala yuf'ilu if'alan. If we see over here, it is similar to taf'il, which is bab number 2. The only thing that we have over here is hamza, which is extra, and the rest of the root letters are the same, fa, ain, and lam. So this hamza is extra. Something very important about this hamza is not hamzatul wasl. It is called hamzatul qat'. Yani we have to read it all the time, and we have to write it all the time. So it is af'ala, and the pattern is similar to what we discussed earlier. The mudari takes you, so it is yuf'ilu, and then the masdar is if'alan. Also, the hamza of masdar is also hamzatul qat', and we have to recite it, we have to read it, and we have to write it whenever it happens to be over there. So af'ala yuf'ilu if'alan, as we can see over here, this is the pattern, and based on the pattern, the verb that we have chosen over here is aslama yuslimu islaman, to embrace Islam, or to be a Muslim, or to become a Muslim. So the pattern, again, it's very simple. Aslama is the past tense. You, as we know that these abwab are bab of you and mu. So it is the mudari is yuslimu, and masdar is islaman. Basically if'alan. So what is the name of this bab? Bab if'al. If'al. As we know that these abwab are named after their masadir. So number 2 was taf'il, and number 4 is if'al. Now we move on to the characteristics of form basically 4, as we can see over here. So number 1, it's similar to bab 2, taf'il. It is causative, to make someone do something, or to make something happen. For example, nazala means to come down, and anzala to send or bring down. So here we have, again, hamza is extra over here. So nazala changes into anzala, and when we change it into anzala, then the meaning also changes. It means to send down or bring down, as we can see here, to make someone do something or to make something happen. And we have the example from the Quran. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. So now we can see over here, anzalna, and then hu, of course, is maf'ul bihi, which refers to the Quran. So we sent this Quran down in the night of decree. So as we can see over here, we sent this Quran down. So this Quran refers to who, and down, as we can see over here. So basically it is, as we can see here, causative. Now the note that we need to see the basic difference between form number 2 and form number 4, the difference between taf'il and if'al. Words from this family generally indicate that the action took place at once. At once. If you remember, in bab taf'il we discussed that the action was gradual. It took place gradually. But here it means the action took place at once. The word anzala means to reveal at once. This verb is used to talk about the revelation of the Quran during the night of decree. So, did you see the difference, the basic difference between taf'il and if'al, bab number 2 and 4? 2, as we have discussed earlier, is used to talk about something that happens gradually. Tanzil. Nazzala yunazzilu tanzilan. And we know that tanzil refers to the revelation of the Quran that happened in 23 years. Whereas inzal, anzala yunzilu inzalan, inzal refers to the revelation of the Quran that happened at the night of decree. So that's why it is called inzal. So the difference between tanzil and inzal is tanzil means that the Quran was sent down to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gradually in 23 years, whereas inzal happened when it was sent from the seventh sky, from the seventh heaven to the first heaven, or ardus sama, the heaven of the dunya, and then from the heaven of the dunya it was revealed to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and gradually in 23 years. So inzal happened at once and tanzil happened gradually. Did you get the idea?
Yes, Ustad.
All right. Number 2, the same thing as we discussed in taf'il is similar to that. Transitivity, that means that it changes an intransitive verb, which is lazim, to transitive, which is muta'addi. Lazim means it does not need object. Muta'addi means it needs object. Dhahaba, to go. So dhahaba, as we know, this is fi'l lazim, intransitive. So to go. Dhahaba bilalun. That's it. The meaning is clear. But when we bring it into bab 4, which is if'al, it becomes adhaba. And the meaning also changes. That means to remove. Adhaba, to remove. Similarly, dakhala, to enter, and adkhala, to make, to enter. So the difference, as you can see over here, as we know that the verb that was lazim, now it has changed into muta'addi. So what is the difference? Lazim doesn't need object, but muta'addi needs object. So let's look at the example over here. وَقَالُوا الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ الَّذِي أَذْهَبَ عَنَّا الْحَزَنَ. So adhaba, as we can see here, and they will say, that means Ahlul Jannah, they will say, praise to Allah who has removed from us all sorrow. So Ahlul Jannah, when they enter Jannah, they will not have any grief, they will not have anything that will bother them. So that's why when they enter Jannah, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahumma adkhilna fil Jannah. So as we can see over here, وَقَالُوا الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ الَّذِي أَذْهَبَ عَنَّا الْحَزَنَ. So they will say that praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has removed from us all sorrow. So here again it makes a verb that is lazim into muta'addi, and it is similar to taf'il. Taf'il has the same function and if'al has the same function. So 2 and 4 are similar. That's why and the Shaykh has decided to bring both of them together. New meaning, it happens with almost every bab, with almost every derived form of the verb, that sometimes we have a totally new meaning. For example, qarada means to cut, but aqrada means to lend something to someone. Similarly, we have laqiya, to meet, and when we take it into verb form number 4, alqa, that means to cast down or to throw something away, to fling. So the example from the Quran, in tuqridullaha qardan hasana yuda'ifhu lakum wa yaghfir lakum. Now 2 things we need to know over here. Number 1, we are dealing with bab number 4, which is aqrada yuqridu iqradan. So tuqridu is basically tuqriduna. So why tuqriduna is majzoom over here? The noon has been dropped. Does anyone remember? Because of in. We know in is adatu shart and tajzimu fi'lain, and it makes majzoom to two verbs. So tuqridu was tuqriduna, so noon has been dropped, and qardan hasana yuda'ifhu, and it was yuda'ifu, and also here it has become majzoom, yuda'ifhu lakum, and we know that yuda'if and wa, so wa is connecting to both of them, so that's why both of them will be majzoom, and wa yaghfir lakum is also majzoom. So two things we have just covered over here. Number one, we can see that this is Jumla Shartiyya. That's number one. And number two, there is a use of present tense from alqa, yulqi, ilqa. So tuqridu. Man dhal ladhi yuqridu Allah qardan hasana. It's used a lot in the Quran. So if you lend Allah a goodly loan, He will multiply it for you and forgive you. And then we have قال ألقوا فلما ألقوا. Look at the difference over here. Alqu. It is alqu and here it is alqaw. So here we have dhamma and here we have fatha. So when we have dhamma, this is the past tense. He said, so here we can see here, he said throw, and when they threw, falamma alqaw, and when they threw, so this is basically here. Alqu is the past tense and alqaw, as we can see here, is the fi'l al-amr. So that's why we need to know how to make fi'l al-amr, how to make ism al-fa'il, ism al-maf'ul. So qala alqu falamma alqaw. So when he said throw and when they threw. So here basically we can see here. This is basically in English the translation changes, but in Arabic we have to look at first. So alqu is basically fi'l al-amr and alqaw is the past tense. Please remember this. If there is any confusion, we need to be clear about it. So this is past and this is fi'l al-amr. Qala alqu, he said throw. Falamma alqaw, and when they threw. So as we can see here, the meaning is completely different. So number one, it is causative. Number two, it is transitive. And number three, it gives a new meaning. All right, so there are only main two things that we need to remember. Number one, it is transitive, or number one, it is causative, and number two, it is transitive. Now, a verb in form 4 requires two objects. Minimum it requires two objects and sometimes three objects. مفعولين وثلاثة مفاعيل. Example here, إنا أعطيناك الكوثر. So we can see here ka is maf'ul bihi number 1 and al-kawthara is maf'ul bihi number 2. That's why we can see over here this is mansub, and ka is the attached pronoun, and we know that the attached pronouns are always in the place of maf'ul bihi when they come with the verb. So inna, indeed we, a'tayna, so a'ta yu'ti i'ta'an, to give, a'tayna, we gave who? Ka, to you, referring to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. What? Al-Kawthara, Al-Kawthar. So now we can see over here that it has two objects, and sometimes it requires, or it gets three objects. Yurihim. So here him is number 1, which is the object, and Allahu Ismul Jalala is the subject. So this is clear here. So this is object number 1 here, and a'malahum, so this is object number 2, and hasaratin is number 3. Yurihimullahu a'malahum hasaratin alayhim. So now we can see over here that sometimes it requires three objects. Hum, as we can see, or in this case it is him because we have ya sakin, and when we have ya sakin and there is kasra before it, then hum changes into him. We have discussed in book 1, I guess. Then a'malahum is the second, and hasaratin. Hasaratin, how is this object? It should be hasaratan. Does someone remember? Because this is for the feminine plural. So muslimatun, muslimatin, muslimatin. Hasaratun, hasaratin, hasaratin. So whenever we have atun, atin, atin, the marfu will be always with tanween, and mansub and majroor. Please remember, mansub and majroor will be always with kasratain. So that's why we say that this is mansub. So him is number 1, a'malahum is number 2, object number 2, and hasaratin is object number 3. So again here, aslama yuslimu islaman, this is the verb that we are learning on this pattern. Fi'l al-amr, how to make fi'l al-amr? It's very simple, as we know. How do we make fi'l al-amr? Basically, we
The
make
last letter
yes.
becomes mazzu.
Okay, we make it
The last
sakin.
letter becomes sakin.
All right.
We should remove the alamatul mudari if it
Mudare.
is
Okay, now something very special happened over here. This is something that we need to know. It was
that
basically you aslemu. It was you aslemu, okay? Because we have here aslama and it was you aslemu. But what happened? The Arabs, like, they found it difficult to pronounce. So what they did, they decided to drop this hamza. They said we don't want to pronounce it when we talk about the present tense. So that's why it became aslama yuslemu. But when we talk about fi'l al-amr, this hamza comes back. This hamza comes back, as we can see over here. So it becomes aslim. So we know that the ending is sakin, and we drop alamatul mudare, and whatever is left is our fi'l al-amr. So this fi'l al-amr is ready now. Did you get the idea? So it is basically when you make the mudare will be like this. You, we will bring you, and it will be aslimu. You aslimu. Okay. So what happened basically over here? It was difficult to pronounce. So what the Arabs did, they decided to drop this. So it became yuslimu. But when we make fi'l al-amr, then this hamza comes back. So it becomes aslim. Aslim. And all the verbs that we have from this bab, this hamza has to be pronounced and it has to be written. We cannot drop it because this is hamzatul qati'. Yani this is the part of the letter and it cannot be dropped. So it is aslim. For example, we have ajib, right? Adkhil, ajib, adkhil. We have discussed many examples starting from book number 1. So now I'm sure you are used to it, and as we discussed in the beginning, that this is the only bab of all the derived forms of the verb where the hamza is hamzatul qatl, hamzatul maqd. May it be fi'l al-amr or may it be al-masdar. It will be always hamzatul qatl. How to make ismul fa'il? Very simple. Ismul fa'il, as we know that in the beginning, the alamatul mudari, we change alamatul mudari into mu, and then in the end we put tanween, so it becomes muslimun. So muslimun is ismul fa'il, and we know how to change ismul fa'il into ismul maf'ul. We change this kasra into fatha. So the second last letter changes into fatha, so it becomes muslamun. So muslimun is ismul fa'il and muslamun is ismul maf'ul. Similar to bab taf'il, the idea is the same. The only thing that is different over here, that this hamza was dropped in mudare, but it came back in the fi'l al-amr. That is the only change that has taken place over here. Is this clear? Any questions?
Alhamdulillah, clear, Ustad.
All right, fine. So now we have as-sarfu as-saghiru, as we know that the small conjugation. So now I have changed it a little bit, and from now, inshallah, whenever we get into the new bab, we have to follow this pattern. So first we talk about the past tense, as we know. Past, we start with the past tense, and this is, what do we say? This is active, and then we start with the passive. Okay, active form, which is ma'ruf or ma'lum. We call it ma'ruf or ma'lum. Aslama, yuslimu, islaman, fahuwa, muslimun. Aslama yuslimu islaman fahuwa muslimun. This is active. When we talk about the passive, you know, passive always starts with dhamma, and then the second last letter takes kasra, so it becomes uslima. Uslima yuslamu islaman. Uslima yuslamu islaman. Fadhaka muslamun, as we can see over here. Muslamun. Please remember that dhaka means that. It is basically to differentiate between ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul. So that's why the grammarians, they write it like this. So they will say aslama yuslimu islaman fahuwa muslimun, uslima yuslamu islaman fadhaka muslimun. Fi'l al-amr minhu aslim, an-nahi la tuslim, and adh-dharf minhu muslamun. Adh-dharf, as we know that adh-dharf always comes on the pattern of ismul maf'ul. It's not necessary that every verb should have dharf, but whenever we need dharf or whenever we need the dharf al-zaman or makan, adverb, whenever we need it, it will be on the pattern of ismul maf'ul, the same pattern that we have for ismul maf'ul. So aslama yuslimu islaman fahuwa muslimun, and then we have the passive uslima yuslamu islaman fadhaka muslimun, aslim la tuslim, and muslamun. So this is fi'l al-amr, this is fi'l al-nahi, and this is your dharf. Summary again over here. So as we know that the verb that is athulathi al-mujarrad, it has 3 root letters. It can be fa'ala, it can be fa'ila, and it can be fa'ula. There is a possibility that ayn al-kalima can have fatha, ayn al-kalima can have dhamma, and it can have kasra. When we take it into form number 4, so the root letters will remain the same, and there will be hamza will be added to that, which is called augmented hamza or extra hamza or derived hamza, and it changes the lazim into mutaaddi. The verb that is lazim, it changes it into mutaaddi. That's why it is also called hamzatu ta'diyah, yani hamza of making someone lazim into mutaaddi. So nazala, he came down, and when we bring it into form number 4, anzala, it means he sent down or he brought down. Kharaja, he came out. Akhraja, he brought something or someone out. So we know that this is causative and this is also transitive. So it makes a verb that is lazim, it changes it into mutaaddi, and also it means to cause someone to do something. Salaha, he was good. Aslaha, yuslihu islahan fahuwa muslihun. He made someone or something good. Islah of whenever we go for fixing something, repair of something, they also use the word islah, repair. Islahu sa'ati, wash, repair. Salima, he was safe, and aslama, he became Muslim or he embraced Islam. Arada means he looked for or he searched for, and then we have arada yuridu iradatan, he wanted or he wished. This is also very common verb used a lot in the Quran. And then the last one also qama, he stood up, and when we bring it into form number 4, it becomes aqama. That means he made someone or something stand up. So now we can see over here that it is causative and it is transitive. So it changes a verb that is lazim, it changes it into mutaaddi. So form number 4 is clear. As we have discussed in the beginning, that this is basically causative, it is transitive, and now we have seen many examples, and we have seen how to make fi'l al-amr, we have seen how to make ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul. Now we move on to the second part of the lesson. So first part is about form number 4. The verb a'ta we have discussed already, so a little bit more that we need to know. A'ta, he gave, is from bab af'ala, as we know. The mudari is yu'ti and masdar is i'ta. We have discussed about this. Fi'l al-amr will be a'ti, and ism al-fa'il will be mu'tin. Mu'tin. Basically it was mu'ti and there was ya, but we know that this is manqus. So when we have ism al-manqus, then the ya gets dropped. But whenever it is used as mudaf, or whenever there is some other reason when we have al before this, and then this ya comes back. And the ism al-mudari is mu'tan. A'taytu bilalan sa'atan, as we know that it requires maf'ulain. So bilalan is maf'ul al-awwal and sa'atan is maf'ul al-thani. I gave Bilal a watch. And the example we have discussed from the Quran, inna a'tayna kal kawthar. And now the Shaykh is telling us over here that sometimes the noun can be replaced with the pronoun. So instead of having Bilal is a noun and Sa'a is a noun, so both of the nouns can be replaced with the pronouns. Man a'takahu. Ka, yani it is you, and who means that. So man a'takahu, who gave it to you. So it's not necessary that we always have a noun. We can also have that the pronoun can be used as object number 1, and it can be used as object number 2. And he says, أعطانيه المدرس. The teacher gave it to me. So أعطاني is object number 1, and he is object number 2. ولو. لو we have discussed already. We know that لو is حرف الشرط. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن الآية. But here it is a combination of wow and لو. ولو. Okay, it means even if. So لو only means if, but when we say ولو, it means even if. اشتري هذا المعجم ولو كان غاليا. Buy this dictionary even if it is expensive. So you say that I will do this even if it is difficult to do. So you will say walau. So we will say walau, it means even if. That's number one, example number one. احضر الامتحان, attend the examination ولو كنت مريضا, even if you are sick. لن أسكن هذا البيت ولو أعطيتنيه مجانا. I will not live in this house even if you give it to me free. So we can see over here that after walau, the tense that is used is past tense, ماضي, very important. After walau, the tense that is used is the past tense. So here, walau kana is the past tense, walau kunta is the past tense, and a'tayta is also the past tense. So number one, we discussed about the different characteristics of bab number 4, which is if'al. Number 2, we discussed about how to make ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul. And number 3, we have discussed walau. Lam al-ibtida, very important, is lam with fatha. It has fatha on it, and it is prefixed to the mubtada for the sake of emphasis. So please, if you can make a list of how many expressions are used in the Arabic language for emphasis, you will see that there are like some people, they have done PhD about this, like the emphasis in the Quran or the emphasis in the Arabic language. So this is lam, which is the lam itself. We need to know two things about this. Number one, it always carries fatha, always carries fatha. That's number one. And number two, it is ghayru amil or ghayru amilah. What does that mean? That means the ending of the noun will not change. It does not change the ending of the noun. Why? Because this is ghayru amilah. It does not change the ending of the noun. So it is only used for the purpose of emphasis. Wala dhikrullahi akbar. So and indeed. So the meaning of indeed has come from this lam that carries fatha on it. And what about the ending of dhikr? Has it changed? No. Why? Because this is ghayru amilah. And it always comes with mubtada. As we can see here, it comes with the mubtada. The remembrance of Allah is the greatest. وَلَأَمَةٌ مُؤْمِنَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِّن مُشْرِكَةٍ وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ. Again here, وَلَأَمَةٌ, as we can see over here. So this is, and indeed, a believing slave girl is better than a mushrika, even though she might be pleasing to you. So as we can see over here, again it gives the meaning of indeed. It does not change the ending of the noun that it comes with, and it is used for emphasis. Okay, now we need to be careful. This lam never ever changes. What does that mean? It always comes with fatha. So whenever you see a lam that has kasra, that is not lam al-ibtida. If it has kasra, it can be, as we know that this can be a preposition, prepositional lam, or it can be some other lam, as we have learned about lam al-amr and we have learned about lam al-ta'lil. So there are like lamat in Quran or lamat in Arabic language. There are different types of lam or lamat in Arabic language. So this is one of the kinds of lam as well. So it will never take kasra, it always takes fatha. So whenever we see kasra, that means it can be harf jar, or it can be lam al-ta'lil, or it can be lam al-amr, but it cannot be lam al-ibtida. Did you get the idea? And as we can see over here, it does not change the ending of mubtada. The ending of mubtada remains same. Number 5, asbaha is a sister of kana. We know that kana has ismu kana and khabaru kana. Kana Allahu aliman hakima. If you remember one example, that is more than enough. So when we say kana Allahu aliman hakima, we say that ismul jalalah, Allahu is ismu kana, and aliman hakima is khabaru kana. So it means to become in the morning. So it has basically two meanings. Sometimes we say when we do something in the morning, so we say asbaha. So when we say asbaha hamidan maridan, now it gives the meaning to become. Hamid fell ill in the morning. Asbaha hamidun maridan. So hamidun is ismu asbaha, and maridan is khabaru asbaha. And we know that ismu asbaha is always marfu and khabar is always mansub. Why? Because this is the sister of kana. Here hamidun is isman, ismu asbaha, and maridan is khabaru asbaha, as we have discussed over here. Asbahtu nashitan, I became active in the morning. So we can see here that here tu is basically ismul fa'il. We know that. And nashitan is a maful bihi, or we will say that this is ismu kana and this is khabaru asbaha basically. So this is ismu asbaha and this is khabaru asbaha. So here that pronoun tu is the ism, as we have discussed several times. It is also used in the sense of just he became. So this is what is very important. Number one, it means to do something in the morning. Asbahna wa asbahna, asbahtu. There are many adiyah that start with the word asbaha, right? So it means to wake up in the morning, asbah. So when we talk about to become here, then we can see over here that it also gives the meaning of he became without reference to the timing. So it does not refer to the time. Here it refers to the morning, but it can also give the meaning of to become. فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا. He united your hearts and you became brothers by His grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allafa, do you remember? Which verb form is this?
Sabbaha.
Excellent. Number two, Allafa yu'allifu ta'alifan. Sabbaha yusabbihu tasbihan. Excellent. Perfect. So when we say asbahna, when it is used in the context of the morning, it means to do something in the morning. And when we say to give the meaning of to become, and we say asbahta aliman, you have become a scholar. Asbahta madarrisan, you have become a teacher. So in this case, it means to give the meaning of become, or he became. Aushaka is also sister of Kana. So Kana has some sisters as well. Aushaka, and the same pattern as Yushiku. Basically, Aslama Yuslimu, Aushaka Yushiku means he is about to. He is about to. Do you remember any other verb that we have learned in the Quran that gives the meaning of about to? Yes. Does anyone remember? Kada. وَمَا كَادُوا يَفْعَلُونَ. And they were not about to do it. Kittu mut, I was about to die. So kada, we have discussed in the and many examples from the Quran that it means about to. And similarly, the verb awshaka yushiku also means about to. So as we can see here, yushiku at-tullabu an yarji'u ila biladihim fil ijazati. The students are about to return to their countries in the holidays, and this is during the time of the holidays when we are doing this lesson. So most of the students are going to or returning to their countries in the holidays. So here we can see over here it gives the meaning of about to, yushiku. Please remember that this verb has not been used in the Quran. However, it has been used in ahadith, a lot of ahadith, but it has not been used in the Quran. The one that has been used in the Quran is kada. Yakadul barqu yakhtafu absarahum. So it is used both in the present tense, in the past tense in the Quran, kada yakadu, but it has not been used in the this one, yushiku, has not been used in the Quran. So the same idea as ismukan and khabarukama, so I think there is no need to discuss in detail. However, one more thing that we can see over here, its khabar is always a masdar al-mu'awwal. So this is the difference between the rest of the verb forms that we have learned, that its khabar is always masdar al-mu'awwal. Ushiku an atazawwaja, I am about to get married. So as we can see over here, so here as we can see, yushiku at-tulabu an yarji'u, as we can see here, and similarly here, ushiku an atazawwaja. Again, we can see over here that here the khabar is masdar. It is masdar al-mu'awwal that we have learned already in the previous lessons. So masdar al-mu'awwal. Do you remember that with asa we also use masdar al-mu'awwal? Asa rabbukum an yaj'alakum. Asa rabbukum an yaj'alakum. So asa and aushaka, both of them have the similar idea that whenever we have the khabar is always masdar al-mu'awwal. And the last point that we have over here, yuriduha li amrin ma. Here we have ma. How many types of ma do you already remember? Yes, quickly. Look. Ma al-mawsula, excellent. Ma la a'budu ma ta'budun, perfect. Ma al-istifhamiya, masmuka. Ma al-nafiya, ma waddaka rabbuka wa ma qala. Yes. Ma at-ta'jabiyya, qutila al-insanu ma akfarahu. And now this is another kind of ma that we are learning over here. So there are like around 9 types of ma that are used in Arabic language or that have been used in the Quran. So you need to pay a very special attention to lamat that we have learned over here, and then we have mim or mamat, we can say. So these two are very, very important. We need to make a small, you can make a list of lamat and these memes, and then based on that, you can learn one example just for your own reference. So today what we are learning is also very, very important. The ma here, the word ma is an adjective meaning to some or certain. So it's an adjective and it means some or certain. So that means it always comes after the common noun. Basically, most of the times it comes after the common noun. So because we know that adjective is like follows the noun. So if the noun is proper, then the adjective is proper. But if the noun is common, then the adjective is common. So we know that this is a harf, and huruf, if you remember, all of them are common. So they are common nouns. So that's why it's an adjective. So whenever you will see it, you will always see it with the common noun. You will not see it with the proper noun. Why not with the proper noun? Because it's a common noun, and whenever it is used as an adjective, common noun comes with common noun as an adjective, and proper noun comes with the proper noun. So here, yuriduha li amrin ma. Here it means for some reason. He wants her for some reason. And here are some more examples. أعطني كتابا ما. Give me some book or give me some books. And رأيته في مكان ما. I have seen him somewhere. So here ma is a common noun as we can see here, and it is used as adjective. And there is one example from the Quran. إن الله لا يستحيي أن يضرب مثلا ما بعودة فما فوقها. So as we can see here, مثلا is a common noun. So this is noun and ma is adjective. So it is used to give something, to tell about something that it is not important. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the example of the mosquito to tell them that to the kuffar that they have no value. And indeed Allah is not timid to present an example that of mosquito or what is smaller than it, even something less than that. So alhamdulillah, we have covered our points of the lesson today, and when we meet again, we will start the text of the lesson. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.